All right. So for those of you who have been under a rock for the past week, the Rockets are imploding. All right, welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Orbital. This week it's just me. Rourke's dad is having his birthday this week, so Rourke's out of town. So it's just gonna be me this week, covering all of the Rockets drama. And like I said in the intro, if you don't know what's going on with the Rockets, you must be under a rock because everything it's imploding. Russell Westbrook wants out. PJ Tucker wants out. James Harden is being thrown around in trade rumors. Austin Rivers might not be coming back. It's bonanza. So here's the thing. If you're a longtime watcher, you know that I am passionate about the Houston Rockets, and I expect perfection. And if the Rockets aren't perfect, then I'm going to be pretty vocal and pretty active with what I think they should do. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go over everything I think they should do, or fire sale the whole team, anything like that. I'm going to cover the Russell Westbrook trades that Bleacher Report has offered, and just go over kind of what teams are looking into acquiring Russell Westbrook. Now, there have been reports that the Hornets are looking into Russell Westbrook. The Bucks are looking into PJ Tucker and Robert Covington. So and then obviously James Harden's name is being shopped as well. So pretty much, it doesn't feel like anyone on this roster is safe, uh, which has a lot of Rockets fans and people like myself and Rourke a little uneasy as to what's going to happen. Are they going to be contenders going into next year, or are we headed towards a rebuild? Now, like I said, in this video, we're going to mostly cover the Russell Westbrook trades. All right. Now, I don't want to just throw random trades out there, so I'm going to go with what Bleacher Report posted in an article earlier this week. They gave 3 trades. Number 1 to the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, and the Los Angeles Clippers, which are 3 viable trade locations for Russell Westbrook, especially the Knicks, where there's a lot more buzz around him going to the Knicks than either of the 2 teams. So we'll go over each trade individually. Okay, so in the Bleacher Report article, they quote a trade of Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and a 2021 second-round pick for Russell Westbrook, just Russell. Okay, now, my initial thoughts on this trade is if the Rockets were to do something like this, they're probably headed towards a rebuild, or at least a rebuilding year, maybe a retooling if you want to call it that. Now, when you get guys like Wayne Ellington and Bobby Portis, both guys who have been in the league, Bobby Portis obviously is getting into veteran status if he's not already there. Wayne Ellington, definitely a veteran. Obviously they help stretch the floor, but if you're going to acquire guys like a second round pick, Frank Ntilikina, and Kevin Knox, those are young guys that necessarily haven't really shown that they're going to be people that contribute right away and make you, a playoff contender, or even, a second round threat in the playoffs. Now, acquiring guys like Wayne Ellington and Bobby Portis show a willingness to at least compete for a playoff spot, and have capable players out there. But in all honesty, if Russell Westbrook is traded to the Knicks, the Rockets are not going to be anywhere near title contention, mostly because the Knicks don't have superstars. They have tools. They have a team that if you add superstars to it, it can be a playoff contender. But there's a couple, at least 2 stars away from being an NBA Finals candidate or even a real contender for the NBA championship. And honestly, in my opinion, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's the worst trade in the world. I think the Rockets acquiring people like Kevin Knox, like Wayne Ellington, like Bobby Portis, a second round pick, which you never know what that can turn into these days. And then also acquiring Frank Ntilikina, even though he hasn't really shown a whole bunch, maybe a change of scenery is what he needs. I mean, he's a defensive point guard, and maybe in a more offensive focused organization like the Houston Rockets, maybe he flourishes a little bit more. As a Rockets fan, I don't think it's the worst trade in the world, but I am going to be more interested in the Clippers offer, which I'll go over next. So the Los Angeles Clippers trade would be Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Ivica Zubac, Rodney Magruder, Fiondu Kabengele. Hope I got that right. For Russell Westbrook in a second round pick. All right, now here's the thing: if this is the trade that the Rockets do, they are still playoff contenders, if not title contenders. Patrick Beverley has been in the Rockets. Lou Williams was on the Rockets. Ivica Zubac gives the Rockets some height at the center position for sure. Magruder is a capable role player. And then Cabin Jelly, not gonna be. I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have no idea who that is. But maybe you see something out of him. I don't know. Really, it's the other four players that you see in the deal. Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams. Those guys make you. Those guys give you veteran presence that at least will guarantee a couple wins. Lou Williams is can be a secondary player off of James Harden. If Silas is going to run a system where it is a lot more share the ball, everybody is a playmaker, and everybody gets even touches, you're going to want guys like Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams and Ivica Zubac and Rodney McGruder who are capable and dependable people on a basketball court. Now, the third trade would be with the Detroit Pistons, and it's my second favorite of the three I'm going to mention. And so with the Detroit Pistons, the Rockets would send Russell Westbrook and a second-round pick in 2021, and in return, they would receive Blake Griffin. And listen, I think this is one of the more interesting trades. I think you remain as an NBA title contender if this is the trade you go with. And here's the thing. I think we are done with the experiment of a two-headed guard lineup with the Houston Rockets. I don't think that's the move anymore. Chris Paul didn't work. I mean, they won a lot of games, but it didn't work out ultimately. Russell Westbrook, same thing. Won a lot of games, got to the second round, lost the eventual champions in the Los Angeles Lakers. But really, I think it'd be better to pair Harden with a big who doesn't have to take the ball out of his hands. Now, Blake Griffin has playmaking ability. No one doubts that. But having Harden be the bona fide, no questions asked point guard of the team, I think it'd be a better way to conduct the team going into next season. The Rockets run so much pick and roll basketball, and I don't think that Silas is going to change that at all, especially since that was a very heavy part of his offense with Luka and Kristaps last year. And I think if you were to replicate that on a lower level, right? I don't think anyone's going to say Blake Griffin's better than Kristaps Porzingis. In terms of an overall basketball player perspective, but a pick and roll duo of Harden and Blake Griffin poses a lot of issues for defenses. Now, Blake Griffin's contract is enormous, all right, and it's not a very appealing contract, but neither is the Russell Westbrook contract either. And the Bleacher Report articles bring this up that Blake Griffin's deal ends a year earlier than the Russell Westbrook contract does, which gives you salary cap room a year early, which if you're a Rockets fan or the Rockets organization, cap room is something you don't know about, right? Like they are pretty tied into their players for a very long time. Now, of those three deals, I would rank them the Clippers deal, the Pistons deal, and then the New York Knicks deal in terms of which one do I think makes the most sense. I think acquiring capable role players for turning Russell Westbrook into 4, if not 5, right? Maybe Jelly does something good for the team. But Magruder, Zubac, Pat Bev, and Lou Williams turning Russell Westbrook into those 4 guys is a more strength in numbers approach. And I think if Silas does really want to run a more everyone can contribute style of basketball with the Rockets, I want a lot of capable guys. And coming from the Clippers, where it's less iso ball, more team-oriented basketball, I want guys that contributed in that system. Now, I don't want to do this video without talking about my personal opinions and thoughts on what's going on with the Houston Rockets. Now, you can talk about Fertitta being not one of the most favorable owners with the Rockets right now and wanting to save money, but also wanting to be a contender. Where those two things, you don't get one without the other, right? If you want to have a contender, you're going to have to spend the money to get one. And if you don't spend the money to get the right players, the right coaches, the right staff, and all the things that go along with that, you're probably not going to have a very good team unless you're going to the luxury tax, especially in this NBA. But Harden's name has also been in a lot of trade rumors, and I'm sad Rourke's not able here to defend him, but I would trade James Harden. And here's the thing. The reason why I would almost trade both of them, just because you've tried with Harden. You've given him pieces. You've given him a coach that inflated his numbers beyond imagination in Mike D'Antoni. You've given him 2 of the best point guards in the past 10 years in Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul. You've given him a future Hall of Fame center in Dwight Howard, who was playing, wasn't Orlando Dwight, but he was productive in the system. It just wasn't used the right way. And you had issues with other players talking about accountability, and Russell Westbrook has has released statements and comments saying that he's unsure of the accountability and the attitude around the Houston Rockets organization. Now, here's the thing: you've heard a couple times, if you've been listening to the reports around this, obviously the Rockets are going to get more for James Harden than they are Russell Westbrook just because of the contract. And I mean, skill level to contract, right? Russell is considered to be overpaid and on a bad contract. Harden is easily a top 5 NBA player. But I should clarify my statement. If you are going to go towards a rebuild, and you have to keep one of them, right? James Harden would yield more assets, right? If you are still looking to contend, Russell Westbrook needs to go. Now, my personal take on all of this is the Rockets should not go towards a rebuild. They should head towards a retool. All right. Use Russell Westbrook, use Eric Gordon, and even Eric Gordon. I know in our last video, I talked about how he should be traded and used to get a better asset. Listen, if Silas, again, is going to run a more team-oriented offense, then Eric Gordon should be in the mix. He's a capable player, a capable defender, capable offensively if he is given the ball and not just turned into a spot-up shooter. I'm not opposed to trading James Harden if it's going to yield to a lot more assets for the team and set the team up for a better future long term. And there is an argument to be made that James Harden won't yield a championship for this team, even if he is a top 5 NBA player, just because he's been paired with so many NBA players that were supposed to be title contenders. And you can look at that from Dwight Howard. That was supposed to be a contender. You move on to Chris Paul. That was supposed to be a contender. Even for a short period, no one really talked about this, but Ty Lawson and James Harden were supposed to be an amazing duo. And then, I mean, that's just a defensive nightmare. And then obviously Russell Westbrook now. It's proven that James Harden is a hard player to match with superstars. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, no one knows what's really going to happen. It's pretty likely that Russell Westbrook is gone. We don't know when or to who that's going to be. But at the end of the day, whatever trade is made, whether it is Westbrook, whether it is Harden, and to whatever team they go to, this is going to set the tone for if the Rockets are headed towards a rebuild or not. And honestly, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for them.
Thank you for watching. If you like this snippet of our podcast, make sure you like the video and leave a comment of your thoughts on the topic we talked about. And make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you want to watch the podcast in its entirety, you can find us on Spotify, which is linked in the description below, with our Instagram and Twitter, which you could also follow. All you have to do is click the links below. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.